Today, cancel culture. We're going to talk about it. My name is Rodney.
I'm Keith, and this is our Daily Chronicle, where we decided to chronicle this journey that we're on for our daughters. So when they start theirs in 20 years, they can maybe take something from all of these videos that we're going to do for 20 years. And that's a lot of videos to go through. Yeah. So we decided to share them with you in the real time to get feedback and learn from you all too. So cancel culture.
Yep.
What's on your? So this is we recorded a video on this a while back for a different series that we haven't done in a while. You had mentioned to me not too long ago that you had some new thoughts on cancel culture.
I don't know if they're new, but just seeing it pop up in a couple circles that I'm on on the interwebs, and so I think there is it's this cycle of people making mistakes, and then kind of a mob culture that's like, oh, let's cancel. So canceling. So then let's cancel them. And then that's kind of evolved into doxing. Are you familiar with doxing?
Where people expose people's addresses, so they get
addresses, they call their jobs,
numbers. Yeah.
So there's that. That's like, I think that'd be like the most extreme. Well, yeah. I guess the most extreme would be like personally visiting somebody and like doing whatever. So I think those are like most of the elements. And I think there are people, Harvey Weinstein, that should be canceled. You should not be allowed to continue to do that. And then I think it is fair for people who have a public persona to have their misdeeds publicized, especially if they're like running. I don't know. Like it's. I think it's fair. I don't even think it's fair. I think it is a part of how life works, especially in a world where we use social media to communicate with people as if we're talking. I think it's just a part of it, right, wrong, or indifferent. I think the part that really trying to reconcile, and I can't, and I don't know where to go with it, is making mistakes is one of the most fundamental parts of being human. And what I see in it is when somebody makes an apology, I would say 99% of the time, everybody's like, that's not sincere. And it's like, and really, that's not that important at the grand scheme. Like, I don't know, it's one of the things that's hard for me to reconcile. Like, I don't understand, like, if people need to grow, they need to make mistakes. Not all mistakes are created equal. People, and people should be and will be held accountable. And that's the other element of this. People being held accountable for things that they've never been held accountable for, I think is absolutely a good thing. I have no problem with that. Abusers, harassers, predators, just people doing vile shit. Like
oppressors.
Yeah. Oppressors. We need to talk about it. We need to get it out there. So I think it's, and largely I think it's this like counterbalance of like people who've never had a voice trying to have a voice, and they're pissed. Angry. So you're like, F you, Joe Boo. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's this weird balance of the necessity of cancel, or the positivity of cancel culture, to your very point, right? If we're going to democratize this country, which is, yes, we all vote, but if we're going to create an ecosystem where everybody can be lifted up in some form or fashion, those who have been lifted on the backs of other people in a negative way should be held account, right? So maybe they lose sponsorships, maybe they lose whatever the case may be, because at the end of the day, the public says this is outrageous, right? Mm-hmm. At the same time, the extent to which it goes overreaches and overreacts in such a instant way where it then turns around and it's like, oh, maybe we overreacted to that. But that person's already lost their sponsorship. Now they have to rebuild their reputation. And what you create is this environment where we now can't have an honest conversation about things, because we have a cancel mentality of if you say this thing about because you're trying to understand in more detail, as they go, no, now you're a racist, or no, now you're a sexist, or no, now you hate women, or no, like all because we're trying to have an honest discussion, but we're so stuck into that cancel culture mentality that we all have to think alike and look alike and act alike. And that's super counterproductive, right?
As you say that, I feel like we treat every and I say we. I don't know why I say we.
The collective we.
I haven't taken part in this mentality, but
The
watched
general
it very closely. Yeah, this idea that like every single offense should be treated the same, and I think that does an injustice to like honoring severity of different things. I think my initial take was like, cancel culture sucks, but like I think it serves a real and good purpose, and
It
at
does.
times
It gives a collective moral movement, whatever that looks like. Me Too movement, right? Black Lives Matter. Like it gives voice to these movements that otherwise have been oppressed or suppressed for a really long time, allowing people to take advantage of a system on the backs of these oppressions, whatever that looks like. But then they're not redeemable, right? Like all of a sudden now no one's redeemable. I look at Michael Vick as a prime example of this. When he got announced as a captain for the NFL Pro Bowl, there was so much outcry that he shouldn't be allowed to do anything ever again when he is like when he's one of the world's leading advocates and supporters and does more for animal rights than most anybody who cancels him combined. And yet, because of the heinous crimes that he has gone to jail for, he has attempted to redeem that reputation for 10 plus years. There's that desire to cancel him out forever and all time. It's like, at what point do our mistakes not define who we are? Because we all make them. And if we were all defined, like our identities and where we are and who we are defined by the worst thing we ever did, none of us would be allowed to do anything. Even if that worst thing isn't as bad as somebody else's worst thing.
Right. And it's more about, and literally like he changed. And I think that's the thing I have that's wrong with the apology. Like to me, the apology is whatever. There are different kinds of apologies, and there are some that seem really insincere, and there's some that seem genuine. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's like, did you learn from it? Like, do you go straight back to the well and start sniffing, huffing crack, whatever? You know the thing what you do. Apparently I've used a lot of cracks. I don't know how to say it, but come on, Rodney, get it right. But like, do you go back to the well and start doing it again, or do you adjust and go fight for like I was oppressing gay people, now I fight for their rights? Like, so you're gonna hold me back and say, well, there was that time, like you can remind me, but like, are you gonna hold me to that former self, or are you gonna let me be this one that's fighting for you?
And that becomes counterproductive if you're holding that person back who might have a bigger voice just because of their profile of historical context. That could help advance the cause even further in their efforts to have changed, all because we want to cancel them for their past misdeeds.
And as somebody who tries to educate people about the history of slavery and oppression and Jim Crow and all the things in this country, who's often heard things like just get over it, I can tell you that response to like Me Too and gay rights and Black Lives Matter is not an appropriate response. Like, and all it does is fuel anger and makes cancel culture stronger, because they're like, you're not getting it. Like, you're just saying just get over it, but you don't understand that this has been my life for as long as I've known my life. So like, I get the anger, but I
get the anger, but we got. I mean, if we're gonna be productive about it, but it's the mob mentality. To your point,
it's the mob.
It's
the mob
a
is
dangerous
fickle.
thing.
He tried to tell us in Gladiator. He tried to tell us the mob is fickle.
Frankenstein, bruh. But anyway, Frankenstein
never scared
me. Marsupials do.
They die.
All right.
That's your question.
How do you feel about cancel culture?